girlfriend.
Procrastination taught me how to do 30 minutes of work in 8 hours and 8 hours of work in 30 minutes. I don't know who said that, and I don't know if you can relate to it too, but for me, hot damn, I need to go for a walk. Now, from time to time, I get stuck in this gutter of procrastination, and it's usually when work slows down or if there's a lot of small jobs going on and I know I can get them done quickly, but I just kind of put them off until they can be last kind of done. But what it does is it ends up creating this like creative confusion. Let me show you what I mean. When I'm in this procrastination mode, things start to begin to look a little something like this. The problem is that this creates anxiety, uncertainty, and motivation. AKA, it's a mess or just chaos. Now, I only have 4 work days a week that I can fill with my client work. And my week looks like this. Now, this is what my work week looks like, but Mondays is a special day because it's a day that I have with my daughter. She's only 3, and while my wife is at work, my boy is at school, it's just the 2 of us. And I'm trying to do my best to do a bit of housework around the house, in addition to feeding her, and then obviously playing together. Now, if or when you have kids, you'll understand what I mean by doing this, but also this house would be chaos if I didn't. Now, Tuesday to Friday, I roughly have between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. to focus on my clients' needs. And this could be anything. It's not just logo design. Logo design only probably happens twice out of every month. And this sometimes spills into evenings. But look, I try and put the tools down at 5 p.m. and kind of leave it at that. Go and put the kids in the bath, make them dinner, put them to bed, have our dinner, so that at night, after the fam is taken care of, I come back into my office and focus on my business. Well, like this week, I was going to be focusing on updating my website. It's been a long time since I updated it, but a long-time client contacted me and said, Frank, we need some last-minute packaging help. Can you help us? I've already got a full week, so I have to slot them in my nighttime little shifts of focusing on my business to prioritize my clients. You might be thinking, well, why would you be working at night for? Just focus on the day. Like, this is your time. And to that, I'd say that, it's okay. It doesn't happen often. I've been working with this client for 4 to 5 years now. So I'm about, trying to manage that relationship and keep it going. And they're great to work with and they give me some interesting work to do. And so why not? Yeah. So in a week, there can be a lot of things that I need to get done, but procrastination just pushes them away. And that's in addition to last minute surprises where, it's a new work inquiry like my client I mentioned before, or it's sick kids at home that I need to take care of and they're home from school, or my wife might pick up an extra shift at work. These all throw spanners into the works. Take last week. This was the list of things that I did. 3 client packaging jobs, 1 client landing page, 15 client social media graphics, 1 client sales report, 4 client sales sheets, 1 client musical branding project, 2 client proposals sent, 2 client invoices sent, 3 client phone calls, 1 YouTube vlog for last week's vlog, plus some social media posts to promote it, 2 podcast episodes for my Dr. Branding podcast, 1 event talk submitted for this Brand Builder Summit that's just happened this last week, and then 1 brand partnership post. Now that's a lot of stuff in just 1 week, yeah? And that's just me doing this stuff. Spring! That was a terrible analogy. But we have this really nice blossom tree out the back here in our backyard. It's spring now. We're out of winter. It's so much nicer being outside. It's a little bit windy though. I digress. Because this is something I think about a lot. So if you do what it is I do, you do branding as well, and you say, I don't have time. I don't have time to make content, or I don't have time to update my website and put new work on there to show others what it is I do, to attract clients. I don't have time to make a course. I don't have time to take a course. to read, to show up all the time and network with people. You know what? I have something to say about that. And I don't want to sound preachy here, but I think you do have a tremendous amount of time to do these things you want to do, especially if you don't have a family like mine to take care of. Okay, but that aside, the key I've found is that if you want to do these things, you will prioritize it. Like each week, I commit to making 2 podcast episodes for my Dr. Branding podcast. It only takes me about 40 minutes total to set up, record, and publish each episode. But I prioritize it because I want it to be something that's consistent to make it habitual. However, the only thing I've found that if I want to get all these things done that I want to prioritize, it's with the biggest shocker of all time. It's a plan. So at the start of this week, I'm trying to make a thing happen for some organization to get me going and avoid this idea of procrastination, because I just easily fall into it if I don't plan out my day or my week so that I have something to just tick off and know what I'm doing next. And I don't get flustered, I don't get anxiety, I don't get clouded or anything like that. So one thing I've done is I've put this little post-it note on my desk. Hope you can see it there. Plan it out. And it's just a really simple reminder that if I'm stuck, if I'm anxious, if I'm confused about what I'm doing, all the emotions, plan it out. That is the solution to solve all those problems, to have clarity, have confidence, and get the job done. Especially if there's deadlines happening and there's a lot of work coming in left and right. I've only got 4 days to do my work. And that's limited hours to be able to get all of these things done as a solopreneur, if you call it, a solo designer, solo branding professional, strategist, manager, all the rest of it. And I have lots of different clients that I need to help throughout a week. So all I do on my Notes app on my Mac is just have the start date Tuesday, and then all the other days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and just have little tick boxes to check off the different jobs I have to do. So this is what happens. As soon as I get that down on paper, everything just becomes clearer. It's always the fallback. And I always remember that if I'm not planning it out, this is why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And that impacts your creativity. So I've found that if I'm procrastinating, if I'm not writing a list, if I'm not organized, the creativity sucks as well, because I'm just like, I'll push it later, I'll wait until the headspace is right. But sometimes I find when you have a deadline, you kind of get into it, you be more objective rather than subjective, because we're trying to solve a problem, we're not trying to be an artist, and we get into the job and deliver the results. You know objectively what you need to do, and lo and behold, as soon as I write down a list, everything works. So by planning it out for my work week, I go from this schmozzle of lack of motivation, anxiety, uncertainty, and turn it into lines of clarity for what needs to be done and when, so that it gets done. And look, why this is important, at least to me, is that if I don't do this, obviously I'm uncertain, I'm anxious, I'm unmotivated. It's this chaos, and I need this chaos to be clarity so that I'm on the ball, especially when I need to be strategic and creative. Or I just don't carve out the time to do the things that I want to do, like reading or writing or exercise, but at the moment I'm finding this bit of flow in the last few weeks, especially, where I'm getting into a bit of a groove, and it feels nice, especially as we're coming out of winter, we're in spring this weekend, and I feel like I've been living in this jacket that feels like a blanket all winter. It feels nice to get it out of that groove and into this groove with a bit more clarity, it feels like. By the way, this book, The Choice Factory by Richard Shotton, good book so far. It's about behavioral biases in choosing, consumer choice, how to influence, your marketing and branding with science-backed behavioral science. There you go. He also has another one, which is on my to-do list, The Illusion of Choice. This is his more recent one, but this is, so far so good. Check it out on Amazon. So I'm not an artist. I'm not waiting for self-expression, subjectivity to just come and spark and have to wait for that moment of clarity. Though there's a bit of a caveat in that sometimes you just can't force creativity. You've got to kind of let it percolate, marinate, until you get those creative juices flowing. Sometimes you might need some play, which is something my friend Delphi is a very big advocate for. Or it might be something that's doing a monotonous task like I've found, where it's either hanging the washing, doing the mowing of the lawn, or going for a walk. Or one of my favorites of all time is the hashtag shower thoughts. Like, some of my best ideas happen when I'm in the shower. But as I said, I'm not an artist. I'm a designer and I'm a strategist. So I need to be objective in how I can help solve creative problems and business problems alike. So taking this jumble of chaos and then turning it into clarity, it's just a nice parallel to what it is I do to help businesses do better branding. Because what I'm doing for my clients is to take all the things that they weren't able to distill and give them the clarity to go out and do better with their branding. Because here's the thing I always think about, and it always comes back to this. If I can't do all these things for myself, for my own business, for my own brand, you know, having this plan, having this clarity, having an objective brand that goes out to achieve its goals, if I'm not doing all these things for myself, how should I expect my client to, if that's what I'm advocating for them to do? If I can't walk the walk, why should I expect my clients to? Yeah. All right, do this with me. Plan it out. Okay, it's the end of winter. Need a bit of a change up. Ooh, nice. See you next week.
Do better branding.